Hey there, guys. TC Made with TC Gaming. Wanted to get back into what we were doing the other night, where we were modifying the waves setup and talk a little bit more about how we're going to progress through this. So, just a quick reminder: we were in our game mode. Our game mode has a start new wave in here. The game instant has the thing to load the game level. If I start out in here, what I did is I actually took our struct. If you remember, I had made a copy of this, and then I died at the end of the night. What I did is I took our waves copy. I made an archive of the original, and I just put this down to one wave that's only going to have these three groups in it. And what should happen is, if we just follow the game logic here, we come in, we're going to go in here, and we're going to have our three basic little spawns here. So we'll kill this guy first. Remember we had where it was one guy, then it spawns two guys, and then it spawns two guys again. I think that's the end of this wave. We get that guy, get this guy. I think that's all that's in here, and that should be the end of the wave. Yeah, now, since we only have one wave in there, it can't find the next wave, so it goes right into game over. And the reason that happens is because when we go back out here to our loop, when it comes out to try and find wave _2, it can't find one, so row's not found, and it goes to all waves finished. On all waves finished, we come down here and we just say game completed and enter into the game over loop that's in our C++ code. So thinking about extending this, what we want to do is we want to say that every time we get done with our last wave that can't be found within the data table, so in here, in this case, if we hit this where the waves are over, what we would want to do is we'd want to go to load our next level. And when we load that level, then we would want to start over with a new set of waves within that level. Now, I'm going to do this two different ways. And tonight we're going to only work on the one way. But the game that I'm working on for this series, we're going to have spawners that are visible and obvious in the world that are going to spawn enemies, randomly spawn enemies or whatever. And we're going to have to destroy that wave spawner in order to shut the spawn off so that we can kill the enemies without more and more and more populating the map, or we're continuing to spawn or whatever. And then for the wave section, where we have these definitions of where we can have multiple groups and define, like, you know, tougher and tougher and tougher waves, what I'm using that for is kind of like the main final boss level where, you know, you're going to have the finishing fight, you know. So you'll randomly spawn some stuff, fight your way through that, shut the spawners down, get into a main area for the final combat, go through the waves, and if you survive all the waves, then you win the battle. When that wave section is over, you would be able to move on to the next map area or next level or whatever, randomly fight through some of that stuff, and then get to the end of that, fight through that whole wave section, so on and so forth, rinse and repeat. And so what we need is some way, not just a waves manager, but we also need a level manager. And so in this case here, these waves are being called from the wave table, and we're going to have different waves for different levels. Because what I can't see doing is going in here like we did with Waves Arc, and these are all, you know, the different waves, but we're going through these and saying when these are done, then you can move on. So I have to be able to say, I need another wave or another wave setup to be able to do that, right? And in order for that to happen, I have to have some way of turning this into a variable, which, you know, you can do that easily. Right click on this, say promote to variable. And then what I'm going to have to do is have another wave table that tells me which one of the data tables to use for the wave. Hopefully this doesn't get too confusing. And I'll be honest with you, I've been through this, trying to do this video for you guys at least 2 times. And in both cases, I got either stuck or too tired to continue with it. So hopefully third time's a charm. What I want to do first is I want to go over here and start, you know, look at how we can replace this. So this data table is going to be a variable. I'm going to right click on this and say promote to variable. And it's going to be called data table. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this the waves data table, so we know which wave data table to pull. And I want to do these, as I said, by level. So I'm going to have a level 1 section. It's going to have its own map, level 2 with its own map, level 3 with its own map. And each map will have a data table of the waves that are in the finishing area of that level. For now, this is just, again, just a theoretical concept thing, just to show you guys how some of this kind of stuff can be built and how it can work. So I'm going to rename this. Instead of calling this data table, I'm going to call this the wave data table. And in this case here, it's, right now it was loaded to waves, right? It was the thing that was calling right here. Wave data table was picking up waves. So what I want to do is I want to take waves, and we had waves arc, I'm going to duplicate the arc file because this one actually has all the stuff in it. And we have the first one has just one thing in it. So this one I'm going to rename. I'm going to call this level _1 _ wave, or waves, level 1 waves. Then I'm going to duplicate this one and call this level _2 _ waves, and so on and so forth. I could duplicate this one again, level _3 _ waves. And I'm just going to leave them the same for now because this one, again, only has one node in it. And this one over here has 5. So if I wanted to, I could actually just say, okay, I want to keep, whatever's in wave 2. So we already did this wave. I'll delete that one. And let's say I just want to do these 2 waves for level 2. So I want to rename these because the counter that we're going to be using when we get here is going to be reset. So that's going to be wave _1. And this will be wave _2 within the context of the level 2 wave setup. And then the level 3 waves will do the same thing. So we'll get rid of levels 1, 2, 3. And then we'll say 4, and 5 will be in here. But level 4 is going to be wave 1 in the level 3 context. And wave 2 in the level 3 context would be this one. So that way we can reuse the same counter and the same process. Make this kind of easy on ourselves. So if I were to go back in here to the game mode and say what data table to get, what I could do is I have a current wave value, and I could also have a current level value. And the current level value could get updated to call a new level and also to tell me which wave data table to use. So if I specified in here, like this is our current wave like we had on the other one. I remember it was called, look over here at our drop down, level 1 waves, level 2 waves, level 3 waves, so on and so forth. What we could do is use an append node and, again, duplicate this. So if I duplicate this value, I'm going to call this current level. And it's just going to be a counter. Current level says that's already in use. Maybe I made one of these and left it up here. Where's that in use? Find results. Current level. Where is that? Well, it says it's a integer. I don't see it in here. It might be in one of the variables up here somewhere. There might be a value for that, but you would think that would pull that up there. All right, so we can we'll call it something else. And so instead of current wave, we'll call it current level. Where is that at? Current levels. Name's already in use. Or current level down there somewhere. Could be a global value that's coming over. Like maybe in here there's a current level. Although I do not see it. It could be anywhere. So could even be in something that we're not even looking at right now. So instead of calling it current level, we'll call it let's call it level index. All right, so the level index. Oh shoot. Okay, I see what's happening here. Sorry, I don't want to duplicate that because when it's going to rename it, it thinks it's the same thing. I wasn't thinking about what I was doing. Normally, what I meant over here is if you're doing this and you have like current wave. If you were on, oh, here's current level right there. So there, I do have an integer for that. So I'll just pull this out. Current level. We'll say get current level. And then what we're going to do, sorry about that. I got confused myself. I must have had that in there somehow, or when I created it, duplicated over. And so same thing. We have a current wave and a current level. And what we're going to do is we're going to come down here a little bit. And we'll say current level is going to get appended to. We're going to do a right click and do an append node. And we're going to append string like this. And in our case, this is going to say 1. So our value needs to say level underscore and then the current level and then the suffix of waves. So we're going to say append, and I think you can just add a pin here. Right? So we're going to append this. So the first part's going to say level underscore level underscore whatever the number is of the current level. And that little thing that I just popped up there, what that's doing is that's converting our integer into a string value to be appended into this. So level underscore whatever the number currently is, followed by the name waves. I think it was level 1 underscore waves. That would give us a data table name, right? And our current level, what we can do is set that to a default value of 1. So it starts out as level 1 underscore waves, which is going to give us the value the same way that we want right here. And then what we're going to do is say the return value of that. I don't know if we can convert that into a data table name. So it says string is not compatible with data table object reference. And so what we're going to do is we're going to get that name. Just bear with me for a sec. We're going to go and create a data table to hold the names of the level waves. And so in order to do that, what we need is a struct. And we're going to create a new one. You can go down here to blueprint structure. So blueprint, I just right clicked blueprint structure. I'm going to call this S underscore level, no, not level, wave levels, level waves. It's the data table for the level waves. So I'll call it level S level wave. Maybe wave level. I think level waves is what we're calling it. Level waves, that's fine. We might rename some of these. Again, we're just kind of thinking this through. So a level wave structure, and all we need in here is a variable called level, or actually, I'm sorry, data table. And that data table is going to be an object of type data table, and data table as an object reference. And that's all we need in that struct. Now, what we can do with a struct is we can use a struct to create a data table. So if we go in here and say we want a miscellaneous data table, and we want to base it on the S underscore level wave structure, we say okay. And now this is going to be called, this is our level wave data table. Right? And it's going to be a data table of level waves. So we go in here and we're going to say new. And in our row name, this would be called level underscore 1 underscore waves. And the data table name for that is going to be level underscore 1 waves. And if we add another one, this is going to be called level underscore 2 underscore waves. And the data table for that is going to be level 2 waves. And I think we had 3 of them, so we'll do level underscore 3 waves. And that's going to be called the level 3 wave, or level 3 waves. So what we can do is we can take that struct now, or that data table, and we can say that what we want to do is we want to get a data table row, just like we did in the other one. I'm going to move all of this down a little bit. We're going to get a data table row. So get data table row. And the name of the row that we want to get is level 1, whatever the number, or level underscore, whatever the name is, waves. This actually has to have an underscore in front of it too. So underscore waves, level underscore the number, and then underscore waves. This return value here is going to be the name of the row, just like it was over here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say the data table that we want is going to come from a lookup of getting that data table name. So whenever you find the row name, no, wait a minute. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, we want to right click this. This should be, hold on. I'm mostly right here. This is the row name. Can I split this return value? All right, 1 second. I gotta change the design on this a little bit because this data table object reference needs to be set by the return value of whatever's at the row for level 1 waves. Level 1 waves is actually going to look up the row in the data table. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm making this more complex than it needs to be. Get data table row. Sorry. We are going to get a data table row, and the data table we're going to get it from is going to be called the level wave data table. Right? And level 1 waves would have been the name, so we're just going to be able to increment and pass that. That's the name that we're going to step through every time we come around. And then what we want to do is the output row can now be split. And what we want is the data table that's returned from that reference to be passed into the data table that we're trying to get the data for. And we're going to connect these 2 pins together, like so. And then we're going to explain everything again because I don't want to confuse anybody with the way that I just went about doing that. So let's go back through here. Okay. This is so hard to lay these out and make this look legible here. Okay. So when we start our new wave, we're going to get the data table row that we want to use for the level that we're in. Okay. We're going to use that from the level wave data table. And we're going to go in that data table, which is right here. We're going to find whatever our current number wave is. We're going to find out what the level 1 or what the data table name is for that. And we're going to pass that data table name to this game mode object. We're going to get that and then look up whatever the current wave number is within that data table row. When we go through and iterate through all the waves and we end the wave counter and don't find the wave anymore, then we're going to go through and increment the level counter so that we would go to the level 2 data table, level 3 data table, so on and so forth. And we'll do the same thing here when this row's not found for level data table or anything. We could either go same path on all waves finished, or we could say all levels finished, and then on all levels finished, we could end the game. So I could just literally create a function down here. So if you go down here, at the bottom of this is where on all waves finished is at. So I can right click in here and say custom to create a custom event, add custom event, and we're going to call this on all levels finished. Then when all of our levels are finished, we're going to call the game over because all of our levels will be done. And on our all waves finished, what we want to do is go and get the next level. And we want to increment our counter. So up here, is there that's start new wave. What we want to do is in our game instance, we're going to build another thing here to get a list of level names. And in the level 1, level 2, level, so on and so forth. And we should be able to use that same current level value to get the value from this data table. So we're going to have to build another struct that's going to have the name of a map in it. And then it'll be the level 1 map. So we could do that. But first, before we do that, what I want to do is I want to show you, hopefully, that this works. And when we get down here to the all waves finished, we'll let that go to game over for right now. And it should run like so. Let's go through here. Hopefully this isn't confusing you guys. I apologize if it is. So then we're going to kill our 3 guys, our 3 spawns. Spawn number 1. Spawn number 2. Okay, so that's all done, and that should be the end of our wave 1 complete. That should go right to the end game. Right, because we didn't call anything else there. So that seems to work. Okay. And what we would want to do now is in our on all waves finished, we're going to go and call load game level. And maybe I should say, we'll create a new function up here actually called, instead of load game level, we could say, I can either call this get next level, load next level. This is still loading the game level, so I mean, technically it's the same exact thing. I'm going to use the same function. So I'm going to say in here, we want to create a new data table. We need a new struct first, so we're going to go blueprint structure. And this is going to be S for structure underscore level. We'll just call it levels. And we're going to right click and say miscellaneous data table based on the S underscore levels struct. And we're going to call this levels data table. A lot of people would just call this DT underscore levels, data table underscore levels, which would be fine. So in the levels data table, we're going to go in and create a new one. And technically, I need to fix this real quick because this should have been, let me fix this in the structure. I left it as a boolean. I didn't give it a name. This should be called map name. And this is going to be a reference to a level. Or maybe it might have to be called a map. Actually a name reference. Now that I think about it, it's really just the name. Let's just put a name in here. Map name, because we're loading the map by name. All right, so if I go back to my levels data table, and we go in here for our new row, this is going to be called level underscore 1 underscore map. And the map name, in this case here, the first one that we want to get is called action RPG underscore P. That's going to be the very first one we load. And then we'll come back in and we'll add a level 2 map with a different name for that level and so on and so forth. So we're going to start with this though, just to get this working. So levels data table. We want to come back here and say on all waves finished, we're going to say load game level. So this is going to go by here. Load game level. Load game level. I just took off the context sensitivity there. And this needs a type, which is a type of BP game instance. Self is not that, so bit game instance, I think. Object reference not compatible with BP game instance object reference. So I probably have to, let's just try cast to BP underscore game instance. And then type object there is a game instance type. But first we're going to say as BP game instance, we would want to say load level. Load game level. That's what we're going to call there. And then we just need to give this a type and it's a game instance. So I think we can just say get game instance. And compile that. And that looks like it wants to run. So load game level will come over here to this. And then what we want to do is we want to say get row, get data table row. This data table is going to be called the levels data table. In this case, it's returning level 1 map, right? If I split this, we got the map name. Replace that variable there. And what we want to do is we want to say that this row name that we're getting is going to be based on the same thing that we used over here, which is the, we'll grab this, copy that, these values here. I'm going to come over here and paste these in with a Control V. And what we're going to do is just change this to the word map. So this will become level underscore 1 map. And the output of that will go into here to get the level 1 map. And the output of this will go into the name there to provide Action RPG. And we'll just insert this to collect that data there. And then we'll remove all the widgets and fade it in. Okay, if that works. Oh, what do we need here? Could not find a variable named current level. So we have to do right here, just right click on this and say promote to variable. And current level in here is also going to be set as a default to 1. What are we doing here? I thought I said convert to. Okay. Might need to come back out here and get it again. And technically, we're just we're going to have to update. It's the same name, but it's going to be technically a different variable, I think, because the scope of this is within, it's private within this class. I'm not always 100% sure how some of that stuff works, so I'm not really the guy to to tell you that this is exactly the way to do this, but I know that this should theoretically work, and we'll just go through it and see if we get any bugs. Okay, so the idea is going to be load game level, comes down here, hits the levels data table, looks up level underscore current level, which is set to 1. So level underscore 1 underscore map, returns that back to the row name, and then picks whatever the row name for the map is coming out of that. We're going to remove all the widgets, fade in, show the loading screen, and then pass that level name there. So if that works, when I go here, boom, I'm into my map. I'm into my wave 1. Okay, now, if everything's going well, all we theoretically would have to do is to create a second level in our levels data table, just here, and then call that level. Now, our level that we want to go to is not in the maps table where this one is. These are all in maps. And I think that they should be in maps because of the way that the asset manager is set up. But what I'm going to do temporarily is I'm going to say for this experiment, we have this polygon dungeon map. And I think we can just call it by the name demo. I'm going to actually rename it and call it dungeon. I'll call it polygon dungeon. So we can rename that. Save. We'll grab that name with a Control C. And in our data table, is right where? Over here in our blueprint progression table. So we come up in here and we're going to go to levels data table. We're going to add one. I'm going to paste in this name for Polygon Dungeon. And I'm going to call this level underscore 2 underscore map. Lost that name. Polygon Dungeon. What's going on here? There we go. Save that. And then what we would have to do is at the end of, so the first time through it'll get that by itself, no big deal. When we get done with the wave, what we want to do is we want to set the current level. So we're going to come over here and say on all waves finished. This comes down here to call load game level again. So right before we call that, we're going to say on all waves finished. We want to get the current level value. So I'll just copy this. Or no, actually I don't want to copy it. I want to find it in here. Current, is it in there? Current level. We're going to come over here and say set current level. Actually, I don't even need to do that. I need to get the current level. Get current level. And then I want to pull out of this and I want to say integer plus, and it'll increment the integer by +1. For this is the current level in here. And so that'll increment the current level +1, which when we come back through should give us wave underscore 2 or level underscore 2 waves, and then that'll pick up the correct thing. And this current wave here should get reset. So we're going to say set current wave. to the value of 1. And that way what we should have is our level should go up by 1, our wave should go back to 1. And then down here at the bottom of this, when we go to call the load game level, that should go through there. And then what we might have to do is after we open this level is when we would increment that for the next time around. But let's just see what happens here. Because we may have to change this logic around just a little bit just because of the naming conventions and how things are in 2 different blueprints. So we're going to try this. This should take us into our first one. Now I'm expecting that when this goes to load the next one, it's going to glitch out on me because it's going to do a lot of heavy loading to try and pull that map up for the first time. I don't even think it's been opened in this project yet. And then that'll bring us into our asynchronous loading discussion, because that's where being able to load that asynchronously will put it in a separate thread and make it run a little bit quicker without bogging down everything else in the game. We might also have to talk about persistence of variables. I don't know. All right, that wave's complete. We should theoretically go and switch to the next level. Yep, it went and called load game level. And so we'll F11 through that. And we're going to say, just to look over here at this value, this current level is 1. So when it called the level loading logic to load this game level, this current level in here is going to be different, I think, than the current level that's over here. Coming out of there, that current level, I don't know where I can see that value. But I think we're going to have to just either, we might even just want to change the name of that. So here's our open level by name. And let me just hit the play button. Because it never got incremented, it went and loaded level 1. We'll try and go through it one more time and see if it increments up to level 2. I don't know that it will. I don't think it will. But we're going to find out. All right, this video is a little long. Hopefully you guys bear with me through this. Again, it's a kind of a cumbersome thing, but once we get done with it, it should be pretty fast all the way around. Okay, load game level. Current level is still 1. So it'll go around and open up level 1, which is the same level over and over and over again. So what we need to do is we need to figure out how to increment this level here, which I think is going to be as simple as we should call this, instead of current level, let's call this one over here map level. And then let's just say over here, we're going to get the map level and increment it. Oop. Increment integer. So after we load our level, we'll open level by name and then up this by 1 value. Now, if that map level's not found, if that row's not found, then we can go out here and call the BP game mode on all levels finished. So we would come out here and say, increment that, row not found, cast to BP underscore game mode. And as BP game mode, we want to call the on all levels finished function. And the object type of this is going to be get game mode. Okay. Yeah, bear with me, guys. We're working on it. This is a lot of information to go through, and again, I'm just kind of doing this off the top of my head, so bear with me. All right, so we go in level 1. Nope, do that. Here's the guy. Okay, we're going to get a couple of failures on this too because we haven't put anything in that other map yet. So what we want to do is wave 1's complete. There's our... All right, so still bringing us back here. Why is that? Let's see if we get here. And we should go right to that, really. Oh, okay. The reason that might be happening is because technically this action RPG P that we're in is the actual game map, and we're starting right there. What we would want to do if we want to see this actually function correctly is we should be in the maps for this one. And we want to be in Action RPG main, which is when we start up, that'll be our main menu. Where this would be where we'd actually start the game. We'd say start game here. Now we're going to increment our level. And okay, so now let's just see what happens here. Sorry, I got to go through this wave again. Getting pretty good at not dying this time. Although I probably just jinxed myself. Yeah, look at what I said. Okay. Here it comes. Level 1 complete. Wave 1 complete. Map level 2. Boom. Now like I said, we're gonna get some errors here, and that's fine. We don't have a player start in here. We don't have any spawn points in here. Nothing. But we did end up in our next map. So let's go into Action RPG P, and let's grab a couple things from here. This is a NPC spawn box, and there's a couple of them in here. So I'm just going to grab all of these, right click on them, and say edit copy. Those are NPC spawn boxes. There's other stuff in here too that we want to get for wherever we're going to go in our maps. Like there's all these other spawners for potions. I think there's one that says in here, right here for our pickups. But let's go to the map first. And actually, I just want to see where these are at. Let's go to, we know where they should be. Browse to asset. They should be down here in the potion pickups right there. Okay, so let's go to Polygon Dungeon Maps. Let's go to Overview. And let's go into, not Overview, sorry. Polygon Dungeon. So we renamed it to. And then it would just be a matter here of picking where we want our level to start. And what you would want to do is you'd want to go through here. If you've ever seen the Polygon Dungeon map pack, it's actually pretty cool. But there's like a hallway down here that goes to the outside world here. And we could start our guy. Let's right click out here and say paste. Edit paste here. And we'll find NPC spawn box. All right, so that's the very beginning of the map. I hope you guys are really getting something out of this, because I'll be perfectly honest with you, it is not the easiest thing to go through these and try and communicate these ideas and work through this without jacking a bunch of stuff up. So I apologize if I'm getting you guys confused. If I'm doing something that you think maybe there's a better way to do this and you guys don't like this method, there's obviously a lot of different ways out there to do these different things, but this is just what I'm working on. And again, I'm just going to, this is just a random example with a couple of maps. So, if you are getting something out of it, please like, follow, subscribe, communicate, tell me what else you want to see or what would help you. And I know I'm doing this with Synthi assets. Not everybody has Synthi assets. I have a metric ton of Synthi assets, and they're fantastic because they all work together and they fit into the stuff I'm looking at. So for right now, let's go back to F11 here to minimize, or to go back out of here. Pull this back up. We're going to go to Maps, Action RPG Main. I feel like we're getting ready to close this video out, so I'm going to go up here and start this, start game. I'm going to remove this breakpoint, but we should just be able to continue playing through after this. And here we go, wave 1. And what we should see is when I go to the other map, now those guys aren't going to move because I didn't put a nav mesh bounds volume in that other map. But they're just going to get spawned where they're at and they're going to stand there. But what you'll notice about them immediately is that they should be a tougher spawn group, because this is going to be spawn group from the wave 2 and wave 3 setup. Right? Alright, so that wave's done. Now we end up over here. Why didn't I... Is there a... Did I miss something here? Hold on. Maybe I grabbed the wrong thing there. Let's go back to Action RPG P. Okay. I did grab the wrong thing. So this player start, if you don't have a player start, it looks like sometimes it probably takes you to the wrong section here. So what I want to do is I'm going to copy this, edit, copy. Sorry, guys. It's been a long, long day. Maps, Polygon Dungeon. Yeah, we're going everywhere. Yeah, we're gonna put our guy out here. We're gonna edit, paste that. I don't know why that went to there. Undo that. Let's go to our NPC spawn boxes. And we're going to say, right click and say, edit, paste here. I think I said paste. We'll end that there. And we're going to take spawn box 3, spawn box 4. So we'll have these couple spawn boxes. We'll leave it alone. Okay. Last freaking chance, guys. We're going to do it. Here we go. Load up. Start game. Go to level 1. Wave 1. Destroy the hopes and dreams of some enemy goblins. Low-level saplings, if you will. Versus the mighty skeletal warrior. Low poly edition. Alright. This should be the end of our wave. Wave 1 complete. Boom. We're going to teleport into Cinti. Bang. Right there at the entrance where we wanted to. And there's our guy spawn. Boom. He spawned there. Now, like I said, they can't move. Right? They can't move. They can only randomly spawn in. So I'll go kill this guy. And then the other guys spawn in. Now remember, these guys are a little tougher looking. Okay. Just stand there. Now this one should have a second wave. No. This one. Right, only had the 2 waves. No, I don't even remember. It's okay. We probably, yeah, I would say, let's say we're going to leave this here. I want to hit F8 real quick. F8 will allow me to go and look at what's going on here. I think these variables will still be instantiated. I think what we're going to find is if we look at our current wave value, well, let me watch this value. I think what happened was because we started a new level, this would have gotten reset, which is okay. But in this case here, this would have been loading level 1, wave 1, which only had the 3 groups in it. So what we need to do is we need to persist this variable across the levels. Now, I believe asynchronous loading will take care of that problem. I mentioned asynchronous loading a couple times. And so what we're going to do is in the next video, we're going to install the async loading plugin, and we're going to look at a level transition using the asynchronous load plugin and trying to persist the variables. And if that doesn't work, then we're going to create a save game object, which will save those values and then load them in when we get to the next map level. But I believe that these variables probably got reset. And what we could do is, anytime you're doing this kind of stuff, what you could do is like this value right here is going to go up here for row name, right? What you could do is you could come out here and say print string, right? Drop this in here, and then you could put this print string in between the values over here. So like if I pulled this over some, and what you could do is you could take that print string and also tell this what that variable is and just plug this in like that. So what it would do is it would get everything and then tell you what it is on screen before it does anything. And usually you put like, a little bit of time on there so it'll hang out on the screen for you. So what this would do is it would pull it up and it would say what the current wave number is. for example. And you can do the same thing with the current level. So if we left level 1 and went to level 2 and saw this message pop up, same thing, I could take this value here, coming out of this return value, and go in here instead. And this would tell me the current level, right? And so just depending on which one you want to see, or you could do 2 print strings, current level, current wave, And in order to do that, you just literally control copy, control V to duplicate that. Pull this guy over. Pull all this stuff here. I want to get more than that, but I only got that's fine. Grab these birds, pull them over. And we'll put this guy in line with our execution. And what he's going to get is the row name for the current wave. This guy will get the current level. And if we were to run that again, just real quick, Action RPG main, start game, and we should see it up on our screen. Over there it says level 1 waves. Wave _1, level 1 waves. And if I beat this whole thing again, I mean, we could just do it real quick since I already set the variables up for it. I was going to try and get off here at the end of that so that I don't keep running on. I feel like this video is probably the longest thing I've ever done in my life. And just, again, hopefully this is really helping somebody, because I pretty much know how all this stuff works to do what I'm trying to do, at least to get through it. So this is for you guys, Hopefully you enjoyed it. Okay, so that took me down. It says level 1 waves, wave 2, level 1 waves. But it's pulling wave 2 from the level 1 waves table, right? And we don't want that. We want the level 2 waves table. So level 2 waves is over here in the game mode. This one is over here in the map instance. Sorry, game instance. So that's probably why this variable didn't get preserved and this other one did. So we'll fix that in the next thing there. And really what I could do is I could just take this like we did before with the current level and the current wave. These could actually be populated in something that is persistent and just cast to it to get the value from it whenever we pull through there. Okay? My name again is TC Bay with TC Gaming. Hopefully you guys have a great night, and I'll see you in a very soon future video. Take care.